like this, the goddess moved and she moved, and in the end, yeah, there's different names and different faces, but I feel all the same energy and different reflections, and that's the beauty of woman, you know? That's the
Mm-hmm.
power of woman, is all these different parts of us and all these different archetypes. And I think that's so beautiful and so important in these times for us to remember that that's all that we are, you know, all of these parts, and that we are allowed, that it's our birthright to embody all of them and express all of them as it feels good, you know, as we are called to,
Mm-hmm.
and to explore these different parts within us. And I think that that's what I find so beautiful about ancient wisdom and mythology, is that it's offering us this mirror, um,
Yeah.
to explore these deeper parts within ourselves.
Welcome to Aphrodite Priestess Podcast, a sacred space to connect with the ancient wisdom of the divine feminine. My name is Eleni. Through my body of work, I want to help you remember, embody, and honor your own divine essence. I am so excited that you're here, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Aphrodite Priestess Podcast. I am Eleni Sol, and I'm your host in this week's episode. And today I'm very excited to have Sophia with me, Sophia Shekinah. She's a tantric magic woman, and she came to my path, I think, a few years ago when she visited Cyprus to do her tantric training. She will tell us a little bit about it. I want to welcome you, Sophia. How are you?
Hmm. Thank you so much for having me here.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to connect with you and to share and to speak about these topics that are alive in
Hmm.
us and in our hearts. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Yeah, today the topic is going to be the connection of Egypt and Cyprus because
Mm.
Sophia is hosting her Amenti retreats in Egypt, and she was popping up. Her retreat and her stories that she was posting were popping up on me in a period where I was researching about the connection between the two countries, which is apart from being close geographically, there have been many evidence of them being also close spiritually, and also there are some the Amarna letters. There's some clay letters that were exchanged between the king of Alasia, which is the ancient name of Cyprus, with the king of the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And I think it was around 1380 BC that were just trading, and they were calling each other brothers, and they were exchanging copper from Cyprus with silver from Egypt. And also in our
Mm.
topic, which is the goddesses, is in, yeah, there was this amazing discovery of most the most figurines dedicated to Isis that were ever found outside Egypt. What they were in Amathunda, the ancient city of Amathus, and there was a period in the Roman and Greek times that Isis, Hathor, and Aphrodite were worshipped simultaneously in Amathunda's temple.
Mm.
And we see this connection with the goddesses. And also, it wasn't so long ago, I think it was 13 years ago in 2000, that a submarine archaeologist team found a huge temple dedicated to Aphrodite under the sea in an old port city, the ancient city of Egypt, called Heraclio. And so all these were like I was researching all this, and then I was watching also Sophia with her retreat and how immersed she was and how I felt her energy like so aligned there. And so I felt a calling to ask you to share your own path, your own initiations to Egypt and how it all started, what you discovered. Um,
Mm.
yes, I'm so excited to learn more
Mm.
um,
Mm.
about your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, and I find it so beautiful that there is these links, you know, these connections between the countries, yeah, but also the ancient wisdom and the ancient cultures. So yeah, I've been loving to hear your input on that as well because I didn't know many of the things that you shared about these connections, and I do know that these cultures and places were connected, but it's beautiful to learn more about it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also, maybe you discovered some things along your path and also with your visits there. But first, before we go into that, I would like to know more about your work. How did it all started? The connection with Egypt. When did you start hosting these retreats?
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a story that I love because it's been completely feels completely intuitively guided, and it's something I didn't plan ever at all with my mind. And yeah, the connection to Egypt, ancient Egypt, and the temples and all of that, I've always felt intrigued by it and connected to it. And for some reason, I've been living quite a nomadic life for the past 11 years or so, and for some reason, I never felt called to go to Egypt until 2022, beginning of 2022, or the end of 2021. And I was actually in a point in my life where I was in the Netherlands, and the contract of my house was ending, the rental contract, and I felt really strongly I was gonna buy a bus and move to Portugal, and I was quite sure that I was gonna live there. But something went radically different. I was really on the point of buying a bus, but then I was in a ceremony, and in this ceremony, a guide came forward really strongly to me. Um, that when I look back, I feel like she was very strongly connected to Egypt, ancient Egypt, but as she came forward, she was actually connected to Israel as well. So ancient, energy, or, you know, from that place. But she started to guide me. And from that time, like in a few weeks' time, just in my meditations and, you know, intuitively, Egypt started to come forward really strongly. I started to receive a date when I would be there. I started to receive.
Wow.
I even received a course that I actually offered online for women, and it was really clear that it was going to be given from Egypt. And I saw kind of the path that I would go, and I didn't know much about places in Egypt yet at all. But I just saw, okay, I'm starting there in the south. I'm moving up along the Nile, and then I saw I'm going through Israel, and that's what I could see until then. And then it was just so strong, I couldn't ignore it. So instead of buying this bus and moving to Portugal, I booked my ticket to Egypt. And um, yeah, and I went on this journey, and I actually found out as I was going that there was this initiatory path um, that was being walked by ancient Egyptians. Even it's even said that if you know the story of Atlantis, that some of a part of the Atlanteans landed in what now is Egypt. and started their civilization from there. So some stories are being said that ancient Egypt emerged from this Atlantean society, and the initiatory path was going along the Nile from the south to the north of Egypt. Um, and it's being said that they saw the Nile as the backbone of humanity. And so along the Nile, on different spots along the Nile, there is certain temples that are connected to the chakras that we have connected to our human bodies now. So every temple would be an initiatory place for that energy center in the body. And then the path would lead through the Sinai desert, and then up to Israel, and it would end in Cyprus. So I was quite like breathtaken because it was showing me the path that I had already seen that I would go. I now found it in this article reading that it was an initiatory path. So I understood, okay, this is, I'm going to visit these places, and yeah, kind of in my own way received my initiations in that first journey that I went to Egypt. Um, just Cyprus was missing in my initial what I could see, but it ended up to, as I was walking this path through Egypt, I took about 2 months, um, and I had many, yeah, I must say amazing or magical experiences in these temples that are very much related to these energies within me. Um, and it felt like I started to receive a lot of ancient wisdom, or remember, it felt like a homecoming, like a deep, deep remembrance of a part of me that was always there, that was always waiting to be remembered. Um, and in that journey is also where I started to open up or receive visions about the life in the temples and the practices that were the ceremonies and the practices that were being done in the temples. And one of them was also the like healing work and body work, and also working with sexual healing, because in ancient Egyptian times, sexuality and the sexual energy was seen as your life force energy. And so it was a very common part of the normality of life. So they were very much connected to their sexuality, to their sensuality, and to charging their physical bodies with their sexual energy. And so that's where a lot of that opened up for me. And I'm sharing that because that's what brought me to Cyprus in the end, because there when they started to open up to me, I found my teacher, Stephanie Nicolaou, that is in Cyprus, that um, has taught me the arts of tantric healing, body work. And so I ended up doing exactly that initiatory path, even ending up in Cyprus. um, and none of that was thought of beforehand. So yeah, it's quite amazing how that unfolded and how it has changed my life completely. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, first of
yeah.
all, wow. And how courageous you are to follow that guidance, even if
Mm,
you didn't know at the beginning where it's going to lead you, and to change your plans and
mm,
to say, I'm following that. It takes a lot of openness and courage to do that. And so I'm very happy you
mm,
followed it and you took that route, let's say, instead of following the mind, or I should be in Portugal right now. But sometimes we make
yeah,
plans with our mind. We said, oh, maybe I should do this and maybe I should do that. And then something
yeah,
else wants us more than
yeah,
what we
yeah,
want.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
yeah, I was so interested to learn about this initiation path because it's not something that I knew about from Egypt to Israel and then Cyprus. And
yeah,
yeah, I wanted to ask you about the points that are connected with chakra. That is so interesting. Can you share a little
Mm.
bit more about that?
Mm. Yeah. So there is there are certain temples that are connected to, like, energetically connected to the chakras of our bodies. There's even one in Sudan, which is the chakra, I don't know the name at the moment, but the chakra that is under our feet, so like outside of our physical body. I haven't been in Sudan, but yeah, so basically the root chakra energy is in Aswan, so it's in the south, all the bottom south of Egypt. And as you move along the Nile, the temples are along the Nile, or where in that times the Nile would have run, because it changed course a bit over the years, decades. But so yeah, there is these seven temples or sacred sites that are or areas, I could say, because, for example, Luxor, where we run our retreats, um, is connected to the heart chakra. Myself, I feel one temple very specifically connected to that as well, but it's kind of an area, I feel. So like Aswan is the
Yeah.
root, Luxor is the heart chakra, and then when you move up, all the way up to the Sphinx and the pyramids, you are very much in the area of the third eye and the crown chakra. Yeah.
So interesting. Would love
Mm.
to. I would love
Yeah.
to learn more about this. So, what happened after
Mm.
Cyprus? That was the moment when you did the whole initiation path. That was the moment that you decided to fully dedicate yourself into the temple arts, or to host your own retreat. What happened after
Mm.
finishing your tantric course and
Yeah.
concluding this initiation path?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I felt really, interestingly, then I felt really strongly that I had to go back to the Netherlands, where initially I thought I was gonna leave, but yeah, as you say, there was something else needed, and I felt, um, you know, I, like, Egypt transformed my life on such a deep level, and transformed me, and so my life as well on such a deep level, and I experienced such an incredible amount of synchronicities and alignment while being in Egypt, in a way that I've never experienced before. And I must say that I did experience a lot of that before, but Egypt somehow is really, it's, for me and the people that I meet that have been there, it's really something else. And I really deeply feel it's, um, when you go there with this certain intention, it's really there to awaken a part of you, or to open up something in you, a deep remembrance that was there all along. I really feel that, and I see that in the people that we guide in our retreats as well. So that's because I felt that, I felt like I want more people to experience this, like, so
This magic.
yeah, it's like everybody should experience this, at least everyone who feels the calling. And if I can support people in that, then that's amazing. I want to do that. And so when I was in Luxor, I spent most of my time in Luxor in these 2 months that I was in Egypt the first time. I met another amazing woman that was also on her own journey in Egypt. And we just happened to have this beautiful connection, and we started to host some full moon ceremonies together and some other things. And yeah, while talking, we started to discover we have very similar ideas of, like, we want more people to know about this. We want to maybe bring people here and have, guide them in this experience. And so yeah, it clicked really well, and we started to share our thoughts. And from there, we started to create our visions for a retreat. And it just flowed so naturally and so easily. So also that was one of those things that just went effortless
Yeah,
in that
so
journey.
beautiful. And I feel
Um,
that
yeah,
something brought you together, that you were meant to work together, that you met her there. That's amazing.
yeah. So the story is full of these things. So yeah, we've created our retreats, and we've been very, very guided in that process as well. Everything, yeah, just came through. Yeah, it's our signature retreat. It's for women, so it's called the Amenti Rebirth Retreat. Um, and that's also, yeah, I didn't know about this name before yet, but it came up in the process of creating this retreat. And Amenti is, she's a goddess from ancient Egypt. She's not so much of a known one as maybe like Isis or Hathor, but she's part of one of the most primordial energies, archetypes of ancient Egypt. Um, and she just came up really strongly in the creation process of these retreats. And um, she she actually represents the the hidden the hidden realms within us, the unseen. So she's also a goddess that you wouldn't see very much on the temple walls, for example, or in the stories. She's more that which is not seen, which is not personified too much. It's more about the inner, the unseen realms within. And she is connected to, she's called also She of the West. So she's very much connected to the west side of Luxor, so on the west side of the Nile River, where you have also all the tombs and the tombs of the pharaohs and the queens, for example. They are all found on the west side of the Nile River. The west is connected to the place where the sun sets, where there's like a closure, the closure of the day, and symbolically also the closure, the part where there is endings in life, like the cycle of
Hmm.
life, death, and rebirth. And so she represents that point where we close a cycle, where we move inwards, deeper in ourselves and the hidden realms. Yeah. So
That is so
she's
beautiful.
guiding this whole process.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
And I remember because
Yeah.
Amendi was also a name that I heard from our discussion earlier, that um, this goddess is also not very famous, let's say, but when you said about the West is very similar to Aphrodite's birthplace in Cyprus, which is the birthplace of Aphrodite is on the west, and also her ancient sanctuary, the biggest sanctuary in Cyprus, that was a pilgrimage for many civilizations for many years. The Palepaphos um,
Mm.
in Kuklia is also located on the west, and
Mm.
so. I mentioned this because
Amazing.
the ancients never did anything by accident. Everything was so, especially
Mhm.
with the directions and the sun, everything was so calculated.
Mhm.
And also, yeah, I was yeah, I live in Costa Rica now, and the other day I was in a full moon ceremony by the Lakota tribe, and here the directions are super important, and the West is all about the water, the feminine energy, the fluidity, um,
Mhm.
yeah, the fertility even. And so yeah, when you mentioned Amenti, I immediately felt a connection, especially with where she's
Mm.
placed, and which is where exactly you're hosting the retreats, right? In the west of Egypt, in Luxor.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Amazing.
where the retreats were born and where she really made herself known because I didn't know about her. We're in the creation of this retreat, and we were thinking first a bit like we were thinking, like we will, yeah, for women, and we will make like a pampering, like a wellness retreat, and we were talking like that. And then we had this woman, another beautiful woman that was with us. She's actually the owner of the villa that we've been using for our retreats, and she's very intuitive, and she's doing card readings. So she was like, shall we do a reading for your retreat? And we were like, yeah, amazing. And she started to pull cards. And literally the first 4 cards that she pulled were linked to Amenti or Amentet. So either Amentet, the goddess, or Amenti as the halls of Amenti, which are like the deeper layers of the psyche. Like, and all the cards that came out were very much pointing us to, okay, this is going to be a little different than what we thought. It's going to be something quite deep, like in the good way, but like as beautiful as we thought it would be to just have this wellness pampering retreat. That was really clear message for us. Actually, something different is being asked from us, and something different wants to come through. And it's really about these deeper layers, and guiding people, guiding women into these deeper layers within themselves, facing, deeper parts, and coming really deeply into that truth within that you can only find if you go deep, and if you,
Yes.
if you dare to go into the hidden realms, the ones that she
Yeah.
represents as well, and to rebirth from there. So that's how she came, very
I
clearly.
love the story. I love the story. And also, I was
Yeah.
laughing inside because I could so relate to what you were sharing, that it all starts a little bit light and, yeah, I should do this. I should go. They always call you in the light form that is going to be fun. And then you go deeper and like, oh my God, where did I put myself into?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
not to say, like, we do have a lot of fun as well during the retreats, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of lightness, but there is the depth to it. And I mean, I'm not surprised in the end, because that's how I am in my life as well, and Louisa as well. So the idea of having only wellness was really nice, but it's actually not really aligned to how we are
Yeah.
anyway as well. And we do love to bring that depth and that deeper understanding, of ourselves and of life, and that level of, but I know the flavor of transformation definitely is a part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. I would
Hmm.
love if you could share a little bit more on how you opened the retreat and why.
So one of the aspects that I really love that we bring in is, the creation story of, ancient Egyptian times, which is something I had never heard about before. It's actually Louisa that, she found information about this, and we went deeper into it. And so there's this creation story that, um, basically talks about how, life was brought into creation. So before actually all the personified gods and goddesses that we know of today. Um, so it goes all the way back into the starting point, if there is a starting point, because I believe it's not linear. However, there is, yeah, this point from which, creation was birthed. And so the creation story from that point of view is being told of that there is 4, couples, let's say, of primordial principles. You could say gods and goddesses, but actually I like to even take it a step before that, where there's not the personification yet. So it's more like energies, principles, and, they are couples. So there is like the masculine, aspect, and the feminine aspect of these, principles. So the first one is Amun and Amunet. So Amunet is actually the same as Amentet, which we work with in the retreat. And they represent, like I said, the unseen, the hidden inner realms. There is Nun and Nunet, and they are representing the primordial waters. So as you were talking about the waters as well, the waters, from through which all of life is birthed through, as we are birthing through the womb, which is the waters. You could see it as the cosmic womb. Then there is Cook and Cookette, and Cook and Cookette, they are representing the void, so the nothingness and the chaos from which all of life is created. So yeah, again, if you bring it back to the womb, like the void of the womb, but where all of life is birthed from. Um, and then there is Hugh and Huchet, and they are the representing the eternity, infinity. This is very shortly said because we can do a
Mm-hmm.
whole talk about this, but these four primordial energies in that ancient Egyptian story are seen as the what birthed creation into being. And we always start our retreat with that because we feel like this, the same as all the gods and goddesses that I see in ancient Egypt, but also these primordial energies, I feel like they all represent aspects of us. And we have all of this within us. We have the hidden realms, we have the emptiness, the void, we have the chaos, we have the waters, like all of these aspects, when we get to attune to them within us and in our lives, then we can use that as an energy, as a life-giving, creating energy. Um, and I feel like the life force energy, the sexual energy, runs through all of it. That's how I haven't
Mm.
read anything about that, but that's my own addition to it or
Yeah.
interpretation that I feel like that's the creation energy that births and creates everything.
Yeah. What I fully resonate with is that we also the similarities of the goddesses, and for me personally, as much as I dig deeper into Aphrodite, and then I say, oh, Isis has many qualities of Aphrodite's, and who was worshipped
Mm,
first, and yeah, because also the before Aphrodite was about beauty and love, it was also about protection of the Cyprus. It was also about war as well, and
mm,
I could see all these archetypes in her. And also when I, because of the cultural exchange and the moving of the people from one place to another, we have all these similarities and
mm,
all these, the traits that are almost talking about the same goddess, but in a different maybe time or a different place. And I find this very beautiful and fascinating, but also that they're all within us, all the archetypes, because I can connect with Artemis or with Hera, but I find that Aphrodite, what from my experience, or Ishtar, Inanna, or Isis, these goddesses that they had multiple, let's say, faces.
mm,
They were representing the woman, the full spectrum of the woman, that she can be loving, she can be also strong, and she can be powerful, and she can go to war if she needs to, and she can be nurturing, she can be sensual, she can be sexual. And having all these qualities is what I think now both of us are trying to reflect within us, and to other women, like this possibility to be everything
mm.
all at once at your home, at your in your temple. And for me, like somebody asked me, oh, so you're a pagan now, you're working with Aphrodite. I said, no, I'm not a paganism. I am not working with this archetype as a religion. I'm working with this archetype as a reflection of what the qualities I can bring up within myself. And when I hear you sharing about your root, about the place and the intention, is just so heartwarming to hear that. And that's a confirmation also for me that, yeah, the intention is pure.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Thank you for that reflection. And I think it's so beautiful what you share and what I see and resonate as well is that this yeah, just the many faces of the goddess, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I see in all the different goddesses from ancient Egypt, but as you say, also from, for example, Cyprus, and how I feel like the goddess moved and she moved, and in the end, yeah, there's different names and different faces, but I feel all the same energy and different reflections, and that's the beauty of woman, the
Mm-hmm.
power of woman is all these different parts of us and all these different archetypes, and I think that's so beautiful and so important in these times for us to remember that that's all that we are, all of these parts, and that we are allowed, that it's our birthright to embody all of them and express all of them as it feels good, as we are called to,
Mm-hmm.
and to explore these different parts within us. And I think that that's what I find so beautiful about ancient wisdom and mythology, is that it's offering us this mirror, um,
Yeah.
to explore these deeper parts within ourselves. And yeah, and I think it's really beautiful that they cross countries and timelines, and but it's always
Mm-hmm.
there. And I feel like in the end, it's always the same energy. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's still there. It's still
Same
alive.
here. Yes,
Yeah,
and you know
yeah.
that, like in history and with my studies, I remember like there was one professor and said, just remember this. He was saying, kept repeating like history repeats itself. History repeats itself, and I really
Mm,
kept that and said, yeah, it's true. Like we are repeating, but then after in my path in spirituality, I said, we're not repeating, we're spiraling.
mm,
And we're just evolving by spiraling. And I feel now, I don't know if you feel it too, there is this goddess wisdom that is coming back through anyone that feels the call to discover more. And it's coming mainly through women or people that have a more strong, humans with strong feminine energy. And yeah, I feel it strongly that this Aquarian era is about bringing back that wisdom.
what I see as well is that um, I think that it's very much the time and needed that we remember that feminine wisdom, and yeah, in that feminine energy, that knowing, that intuition, all these faces of the feminine. Um, but one thing that I find so beautiful as well about this creation story in ancient Egypt is that it's these four couples that are also in beautiful harmony, the feminine and the masculine energies. Um, and I think that that's what I want to believe, at least, or what I see is that we're moving, or I hope we're moving towards this
Yes.
harmony and this
Yes.
balance, because
100%.
that's what's needed. And but because it's been so out of balance and the feminine has been so suppressed for so long, it's really needed that that rises. But I do feel important, for me at least, that that's not like gonna overshadow something again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, for me, it's about bringing back that balance and that union, because that's where the harmony, where the love, where the peace is, I
Yes.
find, in that union. And
100%.
so yeah,
100%.
so
Yes, I agree.
mm,
Also, I had a
mm,
download this morning in my meditation, and I was thinking about the age of Aquarius and everything that was coming through, like the waters, the Uranus, and also Aphrodite was called Urania, like the goddess of the sky, and all this. Like a lot of information were coming, and they said, okay, we started without genders, like without distinction between feminine and masculine, because we're talking about energies. We're not talking about a man and a woman. And so
mm,
we started with this unified god and goddess energy. And also there is in the Hebrew texts that Elohim, it was both woman and man, and also angels were not having a gender. They were not painted men or women. They were unified. And then I was downloading this information, we went into goddess worshipping, and then totally opposite also with Christianity, like to masculine. And I believe we're going back to that unity, to that oneness of the balance of the harmony that we are all already inside of us, like this, both of it. And this is the work we've been doing the past years, individually and collectively. I think this is where it's leading us. And when you said that, I was like, yes, this is it. Like a
Yeah.
confirmation also for me to hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, yeah, I love that you're resonating on that level as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Beautiful, love. Would you
Hmm.
like to share something before we
Yeah.
close?
Yeah, well, if people wanna know more about the retreats, I mean, we will post the link, I think, but it's
Yeah. We'll put it.
amentirebirthretreat.com. Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and on my Instagram mostly I share about the retreats and my work. So that's Sophia and then two underscores and then Shekinah. That you can find me there if you want to know anything about that. And very much looking forward to connect. And I just want to thank you because it's just been so beautiful to
Yay.
connect with you in this way and to be inspired by each other. And I feel like weaving the threads together, and yeah, that feels really, really beautiful. Yeah, and I love what you're
Yeah.
doing. I love what you're doing and following your path as well, and very inspiring. Yeah.
Same. I feel so grateful to have met you, to have um, gotten to know you a little bit more through this conversation, and feeling so much aligned with everything that you shared, and also your path and how similar it is to my own initiation, because there was, for me, at the beginning, it was a little bit of doubting. It wasn't as your story, that you felt the guidance and you went straight to it. It took me some months. Yeah, thank you so much for this conversation and the feeling that I received from you, like this purity and this intention of sharing and giving back to women and men, to in this way, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes we think, oh yeah, you're doing that, and no, it's not the
Yeah.
most easy thing in the
Yeah.
world, right? Mm.
Definitely. Yeah, it takes a lot sometimes. And like you say, you can doubt
Mm.
or think you're crazy, but you're not at all. And yeah, it's a lot sometimes, and it's so rewarding as well. It is really rewarding when you
That's
dare to
true.
follow that. And I hope that these conversations can inspire, and bring a spark of knowing that, yeah, it is possible to follow that inner voice. And it doesn't have to be something so big. Always, it can be in the little things in daily life, and to start to trust more our intuition and our knowing. And yeah, may this
I love
conversation
that.
spark that inspiration as well. Yeah.
Yeah, just thank you for being here, Sophie, and everyone else. And yeah, see you on the next
Hmm.
one. If this episode inspired or helped you in any way, please share it with your loved ones and help us reach more women. You can also write your favorite quote from this episode on your Instagram story and tag us at Aphrodite Priestess and at Eleni Soul. This way, not only we connect with each other, but we also work together in spreading her story in history. It matters. Thank you so much. See you on the next episode. Much love.